do. I had 3 or 4 pages, but now I just have a handful because, Mike, thank you very much. On modifying the ordinance 87-897, which is the funding of the where the money would go to if passed, that's going to be on the ballot measure too, I understand.
Correct.
Have you guys come up with any wording yet that would be something that the voters can look at prior to?
Not yet, but that's a work in progress.
Okay. The document called the settlement agreement is dozens of pages long. The ordinances, CUPs, are 45, 50 pages long. The ordinances that you mentioned, such as Muni Code for oil drilling, the amend the coastal, tell me how you squeeze all that language into one little checkbox on a document.
You mean the question that the voters are going to be asked? So, well, we haven't drafted that yet, but I imagine that it's going to read something like, shall an ordinance be adopted allowing an oil project to go forward on the city's maintenance yard site at 6th and Valley? So
prior to that, staff and all the experts will be providing, so this is the ordinance that exists today, and this is the type of document you would do for where the money goes. You would have to do the same thing. How would we see, you're certainly not going to list every ordinance or every modification that you plan on doing. The development agreement alone is going to be hundreds of pages long.
No, it won't be that long.
Okay.
There will be conditions attached, but the body of the agreement will be relatively short. For the reason I explained earlier, the development agreement really serves a very limited purpose.
Okay.
So, but there will be, attachments to it that will consist of technical conditions, mitigation measures.
Will the average person be able to see those as a full document before they vote on that ballot measure?
Yes.
Okay. So everything that you would want to change, amend the code for M1 example, amend the coastal committee, all that will be completed where you would like to have that changed if the vote is that yes.
Well, the public will have an opportunity to see that as a complete package.
Thank you.
Yes, in advance, well in advance of the vote. But the goal would be to keep the question on the ballot very simple, so that people who are in favor will vote yes, and people who are opposed will vote no. So that it's a very, very straightforward question.
We're now going into our 30th year of dealing with this subject past the '84 election. And again, you could add another half a dozen years you talk about when they were promoting it. Since there's 2 outcomes, a yes on the ballot or no on the ballot, the yes on the ballot, let me go with the no on the ballot. No on the ballot, there are certain city requirements. We're going to pay $17 million. Have you developed any policy program on how that payment would made? When that be made public prior to the election?
We have an economic study being prepared at this time, which is addressing all of the financial and economic issues that are associated with the project, pros and cons, impacts, financial impacts, and one of the impacts is how this $17.5 million will or can be paid, what mechanisms are available, what impact, if any, it would have on current level of services. So that will be part of that study. That study will be completed in the, I believe, early part of 2014, probably January. Right. So there'll be roughly 8 or 9 months when that information will be out there for people to kind of chew on before the vote.
So, thank you. The next one would